You ever notice how the world's full of these so-called truths about growing older that, well, aren't really true at all? Stuff like, if you live alone, you must be lonely. Or if you downsize, it means you've given up. I mean, come on. Half of these things are just myths we've been sold so often that people start believing them. But here's the kicker. If you buy into them, they can quietly suck the joy right out of your everyday life. So today, we're going to take a hammer to those lies, smash them to bits, and look at what's actually true. And here's a little teaser for you. By the end of this, you might just see why living alone in your later years can be the most freeing, most surprising, and sometimes even the most fun stage of life yet. Number 1. Living alone means being lonely. This one is probably the biggest misconception of them all. People hear the words old and alone in the same sentence and immediately assume your life must look like a sad movie scene. Dim lighting, a single plate of soup on the table, maybe you talking to a cat that clearly doesn't care about your problems. But here's the truth. Living alone doesn't automatically mean you're lonely. Loneliness isn't about how many people are around you. It's about how connected you feel to the people and things that matter. I know seniors who live alone and have fuller social calendars than people in their 40s with 2 kids and a mortgage. I had one neighbor in his late 70s who lived by himself but never missed his weekly chess nights, volunteering shifts, and Sunday dinners at his daughter's place. He used to laugh and say, "I don't live alone. I live in between events." And here's the flip side. You can live with family and still feel like the loneliest person in the world if no one's really engaging with you. Living alone just means you've got to be intentional about staying connected, whether that's calling an old friend, joining a book club, or just chatting with the cashier at the grocery store. Sometimes those little conversations are enough to brighten your whole day. Loneliness is real, but living alone doesn't guarantee it, and that's a big, hopeful difference. 2. Independence means doing everything yourself. This one is sneaky because it sounds noble, right? Independence is about taking care of yourself, sure, but somewhere along the line, we twisted it into this stubborn idea that asking for help means you've lost your independence. That couldn't be further from the truth. Think about it. Even when we were younger, we never really did everything ourselves. We hired plumbers, called tow trucks, ordered takeout when cooking felt like a war zone. But for some reason, when we hit our 70s, people think independence means scrubbing every floor tile, fixing every appliance, and climbing ladders to change light bulbs like we're training for the circus. That's not independence. That's unnecessary stress, and sometimes even danger. Real independence is about making choices. It's about saying, I want to live on my terms, safely and comfortably. If that means hiring someone to mow the lawn so you don't throw your back out, that's smart, not weak. One gentleman I know always says, I'd rather pay the kid down the street $50 than pay the hospital $5,000 for a broken hip. And he's absolutely right. So independence isn't doing it all alone. It's knowing what you can handle, what you should delegate, and having the wisdom to choose the path that keeps you strong and steady. That's real freedom. 3. Downsizing means giving up. Oh boy, this one hits a nerve for a lot of people. There's this idea that moving from the big family home to a smaller place, or even just clearing out years of accumulated stuff, means you're shrinking your life. Like you're waving a white flag and saying, well, that's it for me. Better start fading into the background. But let me tell you, downsizing can actually be one of the most empowering moves you'll ever make. I once visited an old friend who had just moved from his 4-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom apartment. At first, he was hesitant. He thought he'd miss the house, the yard, the garage full of tools he hadn't touched since Clinton was in office. But after 6 months, he was glowing. His words? I traded in stress for breathing room. He no longer worried about mowing, fixing the leaky roof, or heating empty rooms. Instead, he spent that energy on painting, traveling, and spoiling his grandkids. Downsizing doesn't mean your world is shrinking. It means you're prioritizing. You're clearing out the clutter, the maintenance, and the stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. You're making space, literally and figuratively, for the things that actually bring joy at this stage in life. So instead of thinking of downsizing as giving up, think of it as upgrading to a simpler, freer version of life. Less stuff to trip over, less house to clean, more time to enjoy the things that make you smile. That doesn't sound like surrender to me. It sounds like winning. 4. Safety means turning the house into a hospital. Here's the picture most people have in their head. The minute you mention safety in old age, suddenly they imagine your house looking like a hospital ward. Grab bars sticking out everywhere, plastic mats that squeak under your feet, a clunky medical alert system that looks like a dog collar. It's no wonder so many seniors resist making safety changes. They don't want their cozy home turned into a sterile, depressing environment. But here's the truth. Safety doesn't have to look clinical. These days, there are beautiful, subtle, and even stylish ways to make a home safe without making it feel like a nursing facility. I know a woman in her 80s who swapped out her slippery rug for a gorgeous non-slip one that actually brightened her living room. Another man I know had grab bars installed that look exactly like modern towel racks, sleek, discreet, and not at all hospital-ish. The point is, safety is about living more comfortably and confidently, not giving up your dignity. It's about making changes that let you enjoy your home without constantly worrying about what could go wrong. Think about it this way. Putting a seatbelt in your car didn't suddenly make it feel like an ambulance, right? Same with your home. A little smart planning, and safety becomes freedom, not confinement. And between us, I'll take a grab bar over an ER visit any day. 5. Technology is for the young. I can ignore it. Oh, this one. I hear it all the time. I'm too old for all that tech stuff. Let the kids mess with it. But here's the kicker. Technology isn't just for young people anymore. In fact, a lot of it was designed with you in mind. It just doesn't always look that way at first glance. Ignoring technology today is like refusing to use a telephone in the 1960s. Sure, you can live without it, but why would you when it makes life so much easier? Smartphones aren't just for TikTok dances and endless scrolling. They're lifelines. They let you video chat with grandkids who live halfway across the country. They remind you to take your meds. They even let you order groceries without wrestling through crowded aisles. I once met a man in his 70s who swore he'd never touch a smartphone. Then his daughter gave him one and set it up with just 2 things: WhatsApp for family calls and a voice assistant. Within a week, he was bragging about how he could summon the weather report just by asking out loud. He told me, "It's like having a butler who never complains." And here's a secret. Learning tech doesn't make you less old school. It just means you're giving yourself more tools to stay connected, safe, and independent. You don't need to be a coding genius or a social media influencer. Just pick the tools that serve you. Because the truth is, technology isn't about being trendy. It's about not getting left out of the conversations and conveniences that make life richer. 6. Cooking for one isn't worth it. I get why this misconception sticks. Cooking for one can feel like too much effort, dirtying pans, chopping vegetables, and then sitting down at the table alone with a plate that looks way less exciting than when you used to cook for a family. It's easy to think, why bother? And just grab a frozen dinner or live off peanut butter sandwiches. But here's the thing. Cooking for yourself is about so much more than food. It's about taking care of yourself with the same love you'd show to someone else. I know a retired teacher who lives alone and makes it a point to set the table with her nicest plate and a little candle every Friday night. When I asked why, she said, "Because I'm worth the good dishes too." That stuck with me. Cooking for one doesn't mean you have to prepare a 5-course meal. It can be as simple as making a big pot of soup on Sunday and enjoying it all week, or trying a new recipe just because you can. And honestly, there's something liberating about it. You get to season the food exactly how you like it. No more holding back on the garlic because someone else complained or skipping spicy peppers because they couldn't handle the heat. When you cook for yourself, it's your taste buds in charge. And let's not forget the health side. Living alone, it's tempting to slide into habits that don't fuel your body right. But eating well gives you more energy, keeps your mind sharp, and makes you feel good in ways takeout never will. Besides, leftovers are basically tomorrow's gift from your past self. How's that for self-care? So no, cooking for one isn't pointless. It's one of the best ways to remind yourself daily that you matter. Because you do. 7. New friendships don't happen after 70. This one always makes me smile because it's so far from the truth. Somewhere along the way, people started believing that after you hit a certain age, the friend factory just shuts down. Like all the meaningful bonds in life had to be formed in high school, at work, or during those busy family-raising years. But you and I both know that's nonsense. Friendship doesn't have an age limit. It just changes in how it shows up. When you're younger, friendships form because of proximity. You sit next to someone in class, you share an office cubicle, your kids are on the same soccer team. But after 70, friendships happen because of choice. You meet people who actually share your interests, not just your zip code. That's why those bonds can be even richer. I know a man who joined a walking group at 72 just to get some exercise. 3 years later, that same group is basically his second family. They go on little trips together, they celebrate birthdays, and when his water heater broke, 2 of them showed up with wrenches faster than he could dial a plumber. Here's the thing. Loneliness doesn't come from age. It comes from believing the door to connection is closed. And it isn't. Whether it's a local book club, a senior center dance, or just chatting with your neighbor while checking the mail, every interaction is a chance for a spark. Heck, even learning to use Facebook or WhatsApp opens doors. I've seen people rekindle high school friendships after 50 years just because of one online message. So if anyone tells you making new friends is off the table after 70, laugh it off. That's like saying you're too old to laugh at a good joke. As long as you're alive, there's room for connection. And sometimes the best friends come later in life, when you actually know who you are and what kind of people you want around. 8. Falls are just bad luck. Nothing to do about it. The old falls just happen mindset. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, "Well, I tripped because I'm clumsy," or "That's just old age for you." But let's be real. Falls aren't random bolts of lightning. They're usually the result of little things stacking up. A dim light bulb, a slippery rug, shoes that should have been retired years ago, or even not drinking enough water and getting dizzy. I once knew a guy who kept brushing off his doctor's advice about balance exercises. Then one day he tripped over his own dog. He laughed it off at first, but when he ended up with a sprained wrist, he admitted later, "I guess my dog wasn't the problem, my balance was." He started doing simple stretches and strength routines, and within a few months, he was moving around with more confidence. He even joked that his dog was safer now too. The truth is, there's a lot you can do to prevent falls. Strength training, balance exercises, better lighting, grab bars that don't look like prison bars, remember? And even just wearing proper shoes. It all adds up. And here's the kicker. Preventing falls isn't just about avoiding injury. It's about protecting your freedom. Because one bad fall can snowball into hospital visits, loss of independence, and a whole lot of frustration you don't need. Think of it this way. Nobody says car accidents are just bad luck, nothing to be done, right? We wear seatbelts, drive carefully, keep our cars in good shape. Why should falls be any different? Taking precautions doesn't make you weak, it makes you smart. It means you're giving yourself the best chance to stay on your feet, keep doing the things you love, and avoid spending your evenings staring at the ceiling of an ER room. So no, falls aren't just bad luck. They're preventable. And honestly, investing a little effort in fall prevention is one of the best insurance policies you can give yourself for a more independent, worry-free life. 9. Tight budgets leave no room for treats. Now I know what you're thinking. If I've got to choose between paying the electric bill and splurging on a box of fancy chocolates, the chocolates aren't winning. Fair enough, but here's the thing. Treats don't have to be expensive. Somewhere along the way, people started equating treating yourself with buying something extravagant, like booking a cruise or driving a shiny new car. But a treat is really just something that makes you feel alive, cared for, and a little spoiled, in the best way. I knew a lady in her 70s who lived on a shoestring budget. She told me her weekly treat was buying a single fresh croissant every Friday morning from the bakery down the street. One. Just one. She'd sit by the window, sip her tea, and savor that thing like it was a Michelin star meal. She used to laugh and say, "That croissant is cheaper than therapy." And honestly, she wasn't wrong. The danger in believing the lie is that you start stripping your days of joy because you think you can't afford it. But joy doesn't always come with a price tag. A treat can be making yourself a hot bath with those fancy-smelling salts you've been saving, or taking a guilt-free nap in the middle of the afternoon. It could be saying yes to the slice of pie at the diner, or treating yourself to flowers from the discount bin at the grocery store. Life's too short to live like every dollar is a prison guard. And here's the deeper part. Treats matter because they remind you you're worth it. When you're living on a tight budget, it's easy to fall into survival mode. Bills, meds, food, repeat. But sprinkling in little luxuries tells your brain, hey, I'm not just existing, I'm living. And that shift in mindset is priceless. 10. Planning for emergencies invites bad luck. Ah, the superstition trap. You know the one. If you buy a fire extinguisher, your house will surely catch fire. If you write a will, the Grim Reaper will knock on your door the next morning. It's almost as if people think planning ahead sends out some kind of cosmic invitation to disaster. But let me tell you, life doesn't work that way. Planning isn't an omen, it's a shield. I knew a guy who resisted writing down his emergency contacts because he swore it was jinxing it. Then one day, he slipped and ended up in the ER, and nobody could reach his daughter for hours because her number wasn't written anywhere. After that scare, he finally admitted that having a plan would have saved a lot of stress, not to mention time lying around hungry while waiting for someone to bring him his dentures. The truth is, emergencies aren't a matter of if, they're a matter of when. That doesn't mean you live in fear. It means you live prepared. Planning for these moments doesn't make them more likely, it makes them less devastating. It's the same reason we wear seatbelts or keep a first aid kit in the car. And here's the funny twist. Once you plan, you actually worry less. Because instead of lying awake at night thinking, what if something happens? You can say, if something happens, I've got this. You've given yourself the gift of peace of mind. That's not bad luck, that's smart living. So don't buy into the superstition that planning tempts fate. Fate doesn't care about your paperwork. Planning simply stacks the odds in your favor. And honestly, isn't that what we're all after? A little peace, a little security, and the freedom to enjoy our days without unnecessary worry. So, there you have it. 10 of the biggest myths about living alone in your later years, all busted wide open. It's not about isolation or giving up or bracing for the worst every day. It's about freedom, choices, and finding joy in the little things that make life yours. Sure, there are challenges, but most of the scary stuff people say about living alone just isn't true once you actually live it. If this hit home for you or reminded you that you're doing better than you thought, don't forget to hit like, share this with a friend who might need the encouragement, and of course, subscribe so we can keep tackling these myths together. And hey, stay safe, stay smiling, and remember, the only thing scarier than living alone is opening that fridge and finding leftovers you don't even remember cooking. The beauty is that you've earned the right to laugh at the small stuff, enjoy the peace of your own space, and shape life on your own terms. That's not loneliness. That's freedom. And I'd say that's something worth celebrating.